Welcome back to my channel, friends. I'm Gio, and I write gay, m4m stories, and I share them with you. My voice is naturally soft, so it's become a soft-spoken ASMR. The noises in the background come from my dog. She likes to sleep next to me when I write. Come and join us for the fun. It's time to finish the story of the wolves, at least this part of it. Cory is a werewolf, and Lucas is his mate. To refresh your memories, our tribe of wolves went out to investigate renegade wolves in their territory. There was a battle. Jack was severely injured. Edmund was also injured. Paola remained to make sure Camden left the city, but Easton was unconscious and later picked up by the police. Only Cory realized the last wolf didn't leave the city, but headed to Wolf Hollow, the place that our tribe calls home. The renegade wolf ran right towards the defenseless mates of the wolves, right towards Lucas, Cory's mate. Cory shifted to the silver wolf and ran as fast as he could, but he had no chance of making it in time. And now, checkmate, a silver story. Lucas, get up. Somebody pounded on my bedroom door. It was dark outside, and the warmth of the comforter felt addictive. My phone sat on the little dresser next to the bed. I picked it up. No new calls, which meant Cory hadn't called. I noticed the time. 1:30 in the morning? I'd only been in bed a couple of hours. Cory and the others should have been back by now. Lucas, it's an emergency, Anna said, opening my door and hopping a little as she adjusted a boot. That woke me up. Anna was Salvador's mate. Normally, she's one of the calmest people I know, but not right now. What happened? Is everybody all right? I said, struggling to sit up. Is Cory all right? She shook her head. Gavin called from the hospital. Edmund is in one emergency room getting stitched up, and Jack is in another having emergency surgery on his arm. Gavin said that some wolf almost bit it off. Oh my God. What about Paola and Cory? I said, jumping out of bed and finding my clothes. Gavin thought Paola was okay. She was supposed to chase a couple of wolves away. Cory was tracking one of the wolves and chasing it out of town too, but nobody's seen or heard from him. That's all I know, she said. What do we do? I asked. Miranda and Steph and Jace have already left for the hospital. Salvador has already talked to our friends, and we're working on a cover story. He and I will have to be at the hospital to run point, she said, somehow. Half our tribe is in the hospital? What happened to Cory? I pulled on my clothes. Gavin said Cory's shoulder was bleeding, but you know how wolves heal faster than the rest of us, Anna said. Did Gavin say what happened? I asked. We won. One wolf fled the battle, one they had to trank, and the other Cory chased off. This doesn't feel like a win, I said, as I pulled my shoes on. Gavin and Edmund came up with a potential story. Jack and Miranda had a fight, and Jack took off to cool down. The guys went looking for Jack while we stayed here to talk to Miranda. An insane man with too many teeth attacked them. Jack has the bite marks to prove it. If it's just a man instead of a wolf, then the hunters won't come, I said. I'm almost dressed, and I'll be in the car. She gave me a tired smile. Not this time. With all of us out of the house, you're the only one left who can watch Mark. And Cory will come back here once he's chased the other wolf out of the city. Somebody has to tell him what's going on. Mark? Isn't he asleep? I asked. I've never seen a man drink that much coffee. He's afraid to sleep because he thinks he'll turn into a monster again, and he's afraid to go back to the circus because he might attack his friends. Every new wolf is the same way, but they shouldn't worry until the next full moon. They do anyway, Anna said. If he needs to talk, just let him talk. Within a few minutes, I was alone in the big house, except for Mark. I found him in the big room downstairs, sitting next to the dying fire and looking out the darkness. He'd cleaned up since last I saw him, and even though I guessed we were around the same age, he had that abandoned look and looked young and afraid. which made sense. Cory probably felt the same way when he learned he was a wolf. Somebody had found Mark some black sweats to wear and a blanket to throw over his legs. He sipped a cup of coffee and had a half-full coffee pot near him. His hand shook slightly as he sipped. "Hey, Mark, it seems so dark in here, doesn't it?" I said, trying to be cheery. "I don't remember your name. I'm sorry," Mark said, quietly. "I'm Lucas, Cory's mate," I said. I tossed a couple of logs onto the fire and took a poker and stirred the ashes a little to help the new logs burn. A shudder went through Mark. "That giant silver monster? Doesn't it scare you?" "It's a him, not an it. Cory doesn't scare me, whether in wolf form or human. He's my mate, and he'll do anything to protect me," I said. "I'll do anything to protect him." I took a long wooden taper, lit it in the fire, and lit the candlesticks in the room. "Mate? You mean you two are... You're in love?" he said. "It's much deeper than that," I said, lighting the last of the candlesticks. "When you find a mate, you'll understand." Steph preferred natural materials. Maybe it was a werewolf thing, but Steph had collected about 20 ornate silver candlesticks and had placed long candles in each. I lit all of them and made the room cozy and romantic. I'd surprise Cory when he got home. Some of the candlesticks were decorated with oval obsidian stones. The fire reflected off of the stones, giving me the impression they were eyes looking at everything. Obsidian was my favorite stone now. It absorbed the negativity of the silver wolf and helped Cory return to normal. When I held it, it calmed me. With hardly anybody around and fresh from a hunt, I bet Cory would not want to sleep. Neither would I. I inwardly chuckled. The two of us, alone, a little wine, a little music, the fire. I went back to Steph's workroom and found some pieces of obsidian. She was working on a new beaded piece, using some kind of metallic-looking stone. I stopped. Something seemed off, weird, wrong. I took the obsidian and went back to the big room. Mark hadn't moved, so I handed him 2 pieces of obsidian. By the light, one of them had little white flecks in it. The other seemed like it had a dark rainbow inside. Mark took the stones and set them by him. He didn't say anything. He just stared out the window. Finally, Mark drowsed, and I set his coffee on the table. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't relax. I put another log on the fire and made sure all the candles were lit, and I brought out some extra candles in case these went out. My shoulders tensed. Was somebody watching me? Should I turn on the lights? That might wake up Mark, and he needed his sleep. I roamed the big house, going from room to room, from first floor to second floor, and down to the basement with its cages. Mark and I were alone. My skin seemed to crawl, and I folded my arms. That sensation came again. Was somebody watching me? "Cory," I said, "is that you? Gavin?" Nobody responded. A low growl escaped my throat. Mates don't growl. At least I've never heard any of the other mates growl, or even talk about it. I couldn't explain it, but something was wrong. The night seemed too dark. I went to the main electrical panel in the dining room and turned on all the exterior floodlights. I walked around both floors of the big house, again, and checked every door and made sure it was locked, and made sure every window was closed and locked. I called Cory's phone. It went straight to voicemail. Something must have happened to Cory, or he'd be here by now. Or at least he could have called. What had happened to my lover? My stomach soured. Where was my love? Had the other wolf somehow tracked him? Or attacked him? Edmund kept the trank guns and regular guns in a gun case in his study. I'd feel a lot better if I had one. Turning the lights on as I went, I entered Edmund's study. It had a desk, a computer, lots of shelves with books and other gear, and the floor-to-ceiling gun case. On one wall was a family photo. Edmund, Steph, and a son that looked like a younger version of Edmund. That must be Wesley, the renegade wolf that had bitten Cory. The safe had a lock on it, and I bet Edmund or Steph had the keys. I tried opening the safe. Edmund had locked it. Well, of course he did. Besides the guns, all the silver bullets were in there too. Silver was the only thing that could hurt or kill a wolf. I walked around both floors of the big house and turned on every light. Mark would have to cope. I did not feel safe. Goose pimples formed on my arms, and I shivered. Did the house have an alarm system? If Steph and Edmund had one, they never used it. I took 3 of Steph's crystal clusters and set them around the big room, and armed myself with a piece of obsidian in one hand, the fireplace poker in the other. I set a silver candlestick by each cluster and kept one near me. I'd feel better if the others had gone back. I tried calling Cory again. Still no answer. Something moved outside the big window. A shadow caught in the floodlights. My blood chilled. Mark still slept. I called Cory, and when it went to voicemail, I called him again. A shadow ran past the window, an almost black wolf with a white mark on its forehead. I did not know this wolf. If it had been friendly, it would have come up to the front door and knocked. A second later, the front door rattled. Then a window near the front door. The wolf went around the big house, checking every door and every window. The house was so quiet that each time it rattled a door or window, my heart stopped beating. My hands clenched the poker and the obsidian a little tighter. Every member of the tribe had keys. This wolf wasn't a part of the tribe. I gripped the poker even tighter. Calling the police would mean their death sentence. They didn't have silver bullets or silver knives. They didn't even believe. A snore eased out of Mark's mouth. I was the only one here. I had to protect him. I couldn't call Cory or Edmund or Jack. Salvador was on his way to help Edmund. I tried Gavin's number. "If you're beautiful and female, leave your number," Gavin's voicemail said. "There's a wolf here. A big one," I said. It became visible as it passed the big window. A man, about 60, with a pale mark on his forehead. Nude, he walked hunched and sniffed the air, then shifted into a large, dark gray wolf with a white patch on his forehead. "It's a dark wolf, and he has white on his forehead," I whispered. "He's circling the house, looking for a way in." His eyes were silver, the color of the dreaded moon. "He's outside the window," I said. I dropped the phone on the couch, leaving the line open, and stood between the window and Mark, the poker raised high. "Is something wrong, Lucas?" Mark said. Something instinctive took over, and a low growl hissed out of my lips. The wolf locked eyes with me, and he growled. His growl was low and loud, and I heard it even through the closed window. He made the same sound the silver wolf made when it fought. This wolf had initiated the domination ritual. If I backed down, he won. Steph had won against the silver wolf, but only because I had distracted Cory. No one was here to distract the other wolf. There was no way I could defeat a wolf. Was this the wolf Cory was chasing? That meant he might be close. I only had to last until my mate arrived. If I didn't back down, it would give Cory time to get here and take care of the other wolf. If my love could make it, if he lived. I gripped the obsidian as hard as I could and raised the poker. I must not be distracted. One thing I had learned, a mate is patient. We sat with our wolves every full moon, all night. This beast couldn't outlast me. I stared back at the beast, its eyes super focused on me. I must not move, or I would lose. The contest lasted minutes, and any time I wanted to look away, I remembered how Steph stared the silver wolf into submission. I squeezed the obsidian, my hand sweaty, and I swallowed. The wolf padded back and forth and broke contact. I had won. Then he jumped through the window. The window shattered. Glass flew all over the room and rained onto the hardwood floor with a musical twinkle. I lifted an arm and stepped back, avoiding most of the glass. Mark woke, screaming, and fell off the couch. He bumped the table. His cup of coffee slowly flew through the air and landed on the floor, breaking in half. Mark was barefoot and only wearing sweats, no protection against glass. I gripped the poker as tight as I could, ignoring the fear lodged in my stomach. This wolf reeked of human sweat and animal dander and raw meat. The dark wolf seemed to grin, and it barked once at Mark. Mark scooted back to the wall by the fireplace and sobbed, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." His hands covered his face. He had a couple of shallow glass cuts on his face and arms and feet that bled a little. Instinctively, I stepped into a defensive stance. I held the obsidian tight. Steph had told us that obsidian absorbs negativity, and it helped my Cory and the other wolves every full moon. I couldn't afford to be afraid. I imagined the little black oval gobbling up my fear. "Leave Mark alone and get out of our house," I ordered. It almost seemed to laugh at me. "I've already called the others, and they are on their way," I said, glancing at the still open connection on my phone. If nothing else, they'd hear our last moments. It beeped. My 3 minutes were up. There was no time to be afraid. If I didn't do something, it would kill me and then Mark, and then wait in ambush for the others. It could attack all the others without them even realizing that the danger was close. The wolf jumped on my phone, took it into his jaws, and threw it out the broken window. I ran up and smacked it with the poker right across its nose. It only turned its head. The wolf stared at me with its silver eyes. It lunged at me, butting me with its head, and knocked me onto the couch, into some of the glass. I let go of the poker, but held on to the obsidian. The wolf slowly padded towards me, its jaws opening a little wider. Yellow spit dripped from its lower jaw, and its black tongue hung from the left side. Its teeth were long and yellow. It probably enjoyed playing with its prey. Steph kept silver utensils in the kitchen, including knives. I jumped up from the couch and tried to dodge around a chair. The wolf leaped and knocked me down and stood on my chest. I hit it with the obsidian. The wolf reeled back as if I had just hit it with a sledgehammer. It released me. I crawled away, then took to my feet and ran 3 steps when the wolf knocked me down again. I tried to crawl, but it flipped me over. I lost the obsidian. Its mouth darted in, teeth ready to rip my throat out. Its breath smelled of rotted meat. I grabbed the closest thing I could, one of Steph's silver candlesticks, and hit him. It was silver, and had obsidian stones in it, and a lit candle. A sharp edge on the candlestick cut the wolf's muzzle. The force of the obsidian pushed the wolf away from me, and the obsidian stung the wolf. The lit candle set its fur on fire. The wolf rolled, putting the fire out, then leaped to its feet and backed away from me, growling. "Mark, it's vulnerable to fire," I yelled, and circled around one of the couches for a little protection. "Fire?" Mark said, getting up. He grabbed one of the candlesticks. The wolf roared and lunged at me, pushing the couch out of the way. I dodged away and held the candlestick up. It no longer had the candle. We needed time, but we didn't have any. I had to bluff until help arrived. "Are you feeling weaker yet?" I yelled. "That's the obsidian. There's so much in this room that it's sucking the moon right out of you." Mark got a fireplace tong and picked up a burning log. "You didn't know about obsidian, did you?" I said, and reached down and grabbed the obsidian I had been holding. The wolf growled and started to lunge at me. I held out the candlestick. "I can see it already. You're starting to shrink. You're becoming human, and you don't want to." Mark took the burning log and tossed it on the unsuspecting wolf. The wolf caught fire. It ran about the room frenzied, and it rolled to put out the flames. I lunged at it, hitting its head with the silver candlestick. It hit the beast hard, and I touched it with the obsidian. I imagined that all its moon energy got sucked into the stone. "No!" the man yelled, somewhere between human and wolf forms. "You are powerless here," I said. Mark ran up and held his obsidian on the man, but his eyes were frantic. "I will kill you," the man screamed, and he shifted to wolf. The most beautiful sound I had ever heard blasted through the countryside. An impossibly loud and powerful wolf's howl. The silver wolf was coming. My mate, the man I loved, was close by. Mark covered his head and cowered. The other wolf took to its feet and backed away. I smiled and stared at the dark wolf. "The moon is fading in you, and the silver wolf will kill you for attacking his home," I said. The dark wolf lunged at me. I raised the candlestick to strike. Something like lightning entered the room through the broken window. The silver wolf had arrived. Its growl was both terrible and beautiful at the same time. The silver wolf took one look at me and lowered its head. His lip curled in a snarl. I was bleeding from several small cuts. Mark whimpered. Cory jumped across the room. He batted chairs and couches and tables out of his way, and he moved fast. His jaws clamped on the dark wolf, and the silver wolf threw the dark wolf across the room until he hit a wall. Several tooth marks on the dark wolf's neck bled. "I'd run if I were you," I said, "because this is the only chance you'll get from the silver wolf. If you ever come back or cross our paths, the silver wolf will rip your throat out." The wolf looked at me, to Mark, then at the silver wolf. The silver wolf seemed to carry the light of the moon inside it. Its eyes seemed to leak silver, like smoke. Its fangs were as long as my fingers, and its claws left long marks on the floor. The silver wolf howled again, long, low, mournful, and filled with the power of silver. To everybody else, it was a terrible cry, but to me, it was the purest, most beautiful thing I had ever heard. I walked over to my gigantic silver wolf and laid a hand on his wounded shoulder. "I'll give you a 5-second head start before the silver wolf rips you to pieces," I said. 5. The dark wolf whimpered. 4. The dark wolf ran into the night. "Have fun hunting, Cory," I said, and kissed my beautiful wolf. He licked my face clean with one gigantic slurp. Then in a streak of silver, Cory was gone. I picked up the coffee pot, chuckling, and used the coffee to put out the fires. I waited on the deck for an hour, propped up against the wall of the house. I had a couple of blankets to keep me warm, and I would wait here for my love to come home. Just in case, I kept a silver candlestick by me with a lit candle. The silver wolf returned and laid his giant head in my lap. The warmth of his body kept me warm. I softly stroked his beautiful fur, and we sat just like we did every full moon, until the sun rose in an incredible display of gold and silver. The silver wolf shifted into Cory, and I threw a blanket over him to keep the cold out. He was dirty, had dried blood on his shoulder, had dozens of small cuts and scratches, smelled of smoke. But my lover was safe. "I can't believe you fought off a wolf," he said. "He threatened our home," I whispered. "Remind me never to get mad at you," he whispered. "Then you better make me breakfast," I said, and kissed his nose. We lay beside each other and held hands and kissed. The clouds shifted from red to gold to silver, and finally various shades of gray. Though the air was crisp and cold, we lay here, at peace. "I love you," Cory whispered. The SUV pulled up, Steph driving. Edmund got out, moving stiffly, and tilted his head a little. "Mark is finally asleep." Gavin got out, whistling and carrying the trank gun. "Lucas, you missed all the excitement." "How's Jack doing?" Cory asked. "Once they got the bones set, he started healing," Steph said. "I'm going to bed. It's been a long night." "You two will be warmer inside," Edmund said, holding his ribs. "Lover boys just want a little privacy," Gavin said, making kissing sounds with his mouth. "We're warm enough, and there is no privacy around here, not with the way all the wolves can hear everything," I said, cuddling Cory closer. "I think if I gave him half a minute, he'd fall asleep." Edmund, Steph, and Gavin went inside. Cory did fall asleep. So much for breakfast. A moment later, Steph yelled, "Lucas, what happened to my living room?" "Tell Gavin to check his messages," I said, before I fell asleep next to the man I loved. The end, for now, of the werewolf saga. Would you like to have more stories about the wolves? Leave me a comment and let me know, because I have a lot of ideas. Thanks for joining me, and everybody in our little wolf tribe wishes you a wonderful day. Just remember, watch out for anybody with silver eyes, especially on the full moon, and keep your obsidian close. Peace. I picked up the coffee pot and used the coffee to put out any of the fires that might be around. I picked up the coffee pot, chuckling. And used the coffee to put out any of the fires.